Shut up. I did work. Holy shit. Okay, wait. I want to figure out how to do this brightness thing. How do I make it brighter? How do I make it brighter? Hello? Hello? Oh, it's like dark as shit. Hold on. I don't know. It's dark as shit though. Mm. I don't know what happened, but I'm live.
I lost internet connection somehow.
I'm live though.
I
Look,
don't know.
look.
Live?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing though. Like I don't know. Damn, that's just loud as shit.
I ain't getting no notification.
No. Mm. Mm.
Hold on.
Hmm. I am, aren't I? I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't. Does it echo? Like really bad?
Not too bad.
Wait, does that echo? Does that echo now? Is it getting better or worse?
A little bit better.
So is it getting better now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it getting better now?
Yeah. It's done now.
It's good now? Okay. But can you hear me talking?
Yeah, I hear you talking. Yeah.
I wonder if I should turn this on. Hold on. Does it sound better now?
Yeah.
Does it sound better now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No, not worse.
Yeah? Sound better?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's see. Mm. I want to try something. Hold on. Now let me see. Does that work better? Does that work? Yeah? He froze. Huh? Is there anybody on it? Of course there's not. Why would there be anybody on it? Let's see. Does this sound better? No? What about this? Yeah? Hello? Does it echo now? Let's see. Does it have an echo now? Does it have an echo now? Hello? Hello? Yes, it does have an echo, or yes, it works. Hmm? No, what? Does it have an echo now? Does it have an echo now? No, what? It doesn't? Does it have one now? No, now I can hear it. Hmm? Okay. Hmm. Oh, wow. Damn, I don't even know how to do all that. Not that I can't do all that. Mm. Ooh, okay, wait. Windows speech recognition. Press the Windows logo key. Where's the Windows logo key at? Oh, what is it? Hmm. 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 The fuck does scale? I don't get it. Is there anybody watching it? Hmm. Just you? Oh fuck. Oh, he's the way. Hey, there he is. He's right there. Typing. Can you hear my? I'm fucking with this whole live thing. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. What's it? Todd Shuck is in here. You don't see him on the little chat thing? Meow. Dude, it's an echo. There's an echo. Does it echo? I don't know how I did it, but all I hear is an echo. I feel like it's really dark. Do I need my other like lamp for me? What are you doing, Kit Kat? Look at Boo Kitty. It's my cat. I don't know. I don't know. So, but you can't hear it either, Ohio? Really? I don't feel like I could just hear it. Look, Kitty Cat, you're on live. This is way different than like on TikTok. We all can't be like Harvey with his whole damn setup he's got going on. What up, cool cat? That's Kitty Boo. Come there, Kitty Boo, Kitty Boo. She's pissed. I've been at work all day. I'm not. Okay, cool. I just hear it on my end. You what?
I said I can't answer the comments. If the comments are turned off.
Well, you turn them off then. I don't even see you in here, Ohio. Where the hell are you at? There's two people in here. Oh, oh. You you gotta turn your notification. Don't you dare. Meow, meow. Get out of here. Oh, Jesus, goddamn cat. Cat is just dying on me. Uh, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know how to. Dude, your shit's good as mine. I can't. I don't know how to do it. My cat is like um, she like gets on my altars and like messes them up all the time. It's like her like game when I like rearrange everything to like personally get on it and fuck it up. What happened to your picture? I don't know what happened. Well, that's cool. I guess I don't need 50 people to go live. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, um, when my dude took his life and I had to move out here after the whole thing happened, um, I needed an animal of some sort because his parents took our dog and I couldn't get the dog, and so I got this black Kit Kat. I rescued her from I got her from Petco. I paid $20, but they rescued her from a meth house. She was the only black cat in a litter of 7 gray kittens, and she was the only black one. So naturally, I was like, I gotta have that. So that's how she came in my life. She's a cool cat though. She's really bougie, but she's cute, right? She's kind of fat right now. My vet told me I had to like not feed her as much food, so she doesn't get to free eat anymore. So she's pissed at me because she gets like a half cup of food instead of like free eating. Mm. It is just different because like with um with TikTok, it's like I feel like it's well I do TikTok off my phone, so I feel like it's just easier because like when I go live on TikTok, it's pretty easy, but it's not it's not like this. Like I said, I have a friend. She is. She come here. Oh, stop. Here you go. She's a very vocal cat. She does not. She's like a She grew up in my room. You know what I'm saying? She's allowed to run around the house, but when she was a kitten, when I went to sleep, she would have to. My mom wouldn't let her run around the house, so she had to stay in my room. So she grew up in a tiny like little jail. I guess a jail cell to her for the most part. Meow. we have a I have a very I have a very understanding, empathic with cats as well, or with any animal per se. So I saw you. You saw Harvey and stuff. That's pretty cool. Oh, stop. No, mess up my cards. Okay, Jesus. Come here. Um, the thing I love, I'm a dog person myself. I grew up with cats too, but the thing I love about cats is they're kind of like their own personality, where they're like, I want you to pet me, but then I just remembered I hate you, and then they walk away. They just have their own unique, weird personality. I want a Sphinx cat. I want like a hairless cat. I think that'd be pretty cool. But they're like super hard to take care of. They have to have like a I have to have like a sweater on all the time, and I'm not about to do that. It's bad enough with just one cat. It's my child. I don't have any children, so it's the best thing I got so far. Yeah, it's pretty cute. Yeah, it's funny because they say black dogs and black cats are like always the last ones to get adopted, or the ones that get adopted that end up like black cats, especially for like Halloween. People like grab them just to make them as like a Halloween prop, and then like it's messed up. That's really cool. I love Harvey, man. He's a cool guy. You guys are really cool. Don't you dare. Um, what was I gonna say? I don't know. I haven't got too much hatred on YouTube yet. I'm like really hated on TikTok. Like people, I'm actually two of my accounts on TikTok right now are banned from going live, like they always are for bullshit. Not even relevant. Are you? So you live in Missouri? No, wait, you don't live in Missouri, or do you? Yeah, I love all animals too. I wasn't really a reptile fan either, but me and my ex had we had two reticulated pythons, a ball python and a Burmese python. They were pretty cool until the retics got really really big and we had to give them away because they grew up really fast. I bet you one of those is your spirit animal, or a couple of them can be. I have like horses and owls are like really well. Actually, owls more so because they're like my warning sign. When I was 7 years old, I had an owl like fly down like in my backyard, like 2 feet in front of my face, and just like stare at me. And at the time, I didn't really like put two and two together, like why it was going on. And like 20 minutes later, my neighbor's house got broken into. So every time I see him or I hear him, it's usually a warning sign that something bad's gonna happen. Oh, I just put another one out. Did you see the other one I just put out? But it's not an impression, but it's just, tell me your dude's locked up without telling me your dude's locked up. It's got every goddamn single app you could have on jail on your phone for fucking jail. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I I have a couple of them. Like I have another TikTok. Well, let's be honest. I have like five TikToks, but like three of them are like my main ones. Like my cat, she has one that's got like almost. I'm almost at 10K followers on that. Um, then I have my main one, and then I have like the guy that's in the video. Um, I'm gonna drop a video about this later because I had this the video I'm dropping. I just haven't edited it yet, but the video that I'm dropping out that I was supposed to drop out tonight is gonna be about this person. But I met him on prison TikTok. That's how I met the guy in the video, Jordan. That's who's in the video, and how did I say about it? It's just really funny. Oh, there's a yeah. Oh, I was just talking about the account that I have. It's called like his ride or die or something like that. And it was supposed to be my prison content one on YouTube. I mean on TikTok because I was gonna do that too. And then like tarot cards took over. Really is what it came down to it. And I was like, I just ran with the tarot card thing because that seemed to be like where all my views were coming from. And I have some other videos on there that I'm thinking about like just taking off and putting on YouTube and see if anybody will hit with them. It's funny. It's so cool. Oh. Well, you know what's funny? People don't think snakes have emotion or any sort of reptile like that they don't have emotions, that they just they have one thing and one thing only, and that's just to survive, but it's totally bullshit. Just like I mean, I was not a reptile person at all. Like I'm not wasn't my thing. And then when I got a ball python with the other ones that we had, I kind of started to like figure it out. But I sort of got that Burmese python I had, like it could tell, like I could tell when it was like upset, or I could tell when it was like when it wanted to, yeah, like when it just like the emotions. I don't know, and then people will be like, "Oh no, they don't have emotions," but I'm like, I felt that motherfucker's emotions, dude. Like I felt him, the like his emotion, it's emotions. Hmm. They all have feelings, yeah. I think any animal has a feeling. I think so. For real. I mean, I guess it's the only way people perceive it because, like, I didn't perceive it to be a. Hold on. I don't know why he can't comment. Is he here? Oh, hi! You're not even in my live. Okay, whatever. I don't know. They do. They do. They do, I feel like they do. I feel like where my I guess intuitive came with animals. Um, I grew up with horses. Like I was a big time horseback rider, huge, like really big into it. Like I mean, I could have gone very far in it if I didn't get into drugs when I did. Um, And when I first time I ever like got on a horse, I think it was like five or something, 5 or 6, something like that. Um, I just had a connection with these animals, and ever since like I was a little kid, like I mean, they just I understood them and they understood me, and that's where the I think that's where my empath came out in the beginning because like I wasn't a very social kid, like really at all. Like I really just stayed to myself and rode horses. That was like what I did. I didn't really have any friends or anything like that. So then, hey, stop being vocal over there. Um, so I for some reason me and animals just kind of always clicked. Mm-hmm. Yep. I worked in Tucson, Arizona, right when I got out of high school. So it was like 2007. I worked on a big Arabian horse ranch. It was called Almara Farms, like multi-million-dollar show horses. I worked there for 2 years, and then I went to rehab in Wickenburg. I don't know if you know what Wickenburg is. I don't know. I think we talked about this or not, but that's where my rehab center was at. My first rehab I went to in '09. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, Kid Kat, come here, come here. Um, and then I lived in Prescott for a while. Prescott, Flagstaff, uh, Maricopa County, which would be like Phoenix, Tucson, and Sedona. I would really like. I think that I made a big mistake moving back to Virginia. I should have stayed in Arizona. I should never have left Arizona. Um, because I probably would still be sober. I would have stayed sober. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, they are. They're yeah, I had an Arabian horse for a while. His name was Button or Buttons. He was a an endurance like show type. Well, it's not. I guess it was not really a show. It's more of like an endurance, like endurance riding. Um, I did the whole rodeo scene too for a little bit. I was a big barrel racer for a long time, and then I broke my back when I was 13 jumping, which is what turned me into Western riding afterwards. Because I never jumped a horse again after I broke my back. Um, which is where my opiate addiction came into play real quickly with that. Hmm. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Hmm. That's exactly what it was. I should have said that. Yeah, hill dog. It was exactly what it was. I did that for like I don't know, maybe like a year, and then I got very heavily into like drug. I got very heavily into like heroin at like hmm, well, I was doing it at 15. So like I mean, when I turned 19 or 20, I kind of just gave up. Like I had a quarter horse that I bought in Ohio for like $5,000. By the time he was 9, had already had one world title and like 4 national titles with him. And I should have sold him then because I would have been able to sell him for like over $100,000. Get easily been able to sell him for over $100,000, and I just didn't. I just stopped riding, and he sat out in the field for pretty much the rest of his life. And I sold him for less than what I bought him for, which is the crazy part. So I think I sold him for like 2 grand. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cutting horses. Yeah, they had me on an absurd amount of Opanas and the old school Idioxys. Um, for I broke my back when I was like 13. Like, well, oh, we'll just say 14 because it was like 13 and a half when it happened. But I put a needle in my arm at 15. So by the time I was 15, I was already a full blown opiate addict. And I just found out that you could get heroin a hell of a lot cheaper. Because then my doctor cut me off. Like, I mean, like out of nowhere. It was like they would prescribe me all these pills and then, like, oh, sorry, we're just going to cut you off. And it's like, damn, I already had a habit formed. Um, so, yeah, it's not a, I don't know, it sucks. I mean, thank God it hasn't landed me in prison yet. Like, I mean, I came I'm very close to it. Um, but no, God willing, I won't ever have to do that. 'Cause I really don't want to. Well, quarter horses are like those are like the cow pony. I mean, my sister, she does reining. I'm sure you know what reining is, right? It's like the pattern, like the sliding stops. She went to on a full ride scholarship to the University of South Carolina for it. Well, no, he was gelded. He wasn't a stud. No, he definitely didn't have his nuts. Like the Arabian horses that were at this Arabian farm I worked at, like they had a stud there that was, man, easily over $500,000 a stud fee. Um, but I also worked at a big ass thoroughbred racetrack in Saratoga, New York too, which was just part of my first rehab. So I got to experience thoroughbreds and like the whole racing world, which I hate, absolutely hate. It's like the most meanest thing in the entire universe. Like horse trainers like shoot their horses up with methamphetamines and stuff. It's like outrageously crazy. Yes, I could have. He came out of You could look up his dad. His dad's on Google. He came out of his name was One Final Chip. He was out of Zips Chocolate Chip. So you know about the 180 milligram oxys because I nobody knows about those, but they were only out for like a little bit. They weren't even out for that long. You can't even find. I haven't even heard of an Opana in fucking years. Like I don't know. Y'all don't think you can even be prescribed Opanas anymore. They've made oxycontin so like you. I don't think you can even really abuse it like that. Well, I know you can't shoot it like that anymore. They've broken it down so bad to where like you can't do it like that. But I mean, that's not even nobody even wants that anymore, man. Everybody's all about this fentanyl bullshit. hmm Yeah. Well, I'll put it to you this way. So, being an empath and never wanting to feel my own emotions, let alone millions of other people's emotions, I when I found like legit heroin, not fentanyl, when it was still heroin. Um, as soon as I did it for the first time, it was like that's exactly how I wanted to feel, and that's what I've been looking for my entire life was just to not feel that. And so when I did it, and I didn't, it was just like one of those like, "Ugh, okay, cool, I don't have to feel anything anymore." That's where, and then it turned into okay, well, I'm only going to do a little bit, but then it was like, well, what happens if I do more? Because it always starts out like that. Well, actually, no, I take that back. There's some addicts I know that don't. hmm hmm That's exactly what they did to me. Like I got flagged from every single pain clinic you could possibly get fired from. Um, because at that point I had already built a habit, and it was I can remember talking to my doctor about it at the time and being like, "Mm, Um, um, his release date is February 25th, 2025. He got his transfer papers, I think. Yeah, he's got his transfer approved, but they're I don't really know why they said that he could pick where he went, but they're not going to let him pick where he goes because he's going to go back to Keene Mountain, I think, which is still level 3. I don't know. That's just what the I it's new because I've never been through the whole transfer process. Because like I said, Anthony, when I dated Anthony, it was just he was at just Indian Creek, like he never transferred. So it's one of those. I don't know if like he goes up for his review. I think he has his review, and I think he said in October. But this charge they gave him for not going back to general population is probably gonna fuck his points, or I'll fuck him anyway. But he's only got 2 years left, so I don't understand like why they wouldn't. I don't understand the whole point system thing. Like I don't understand. I mean, I kind of understand it, but I don't understand it at the same time because like I don't really get it. You know what it is? I feel like he got a really raw deal. I feel like he didn't um I feel like they took advantage of the situation, and I don't think he was smart enough to realize. I don't know if he was smart enough not to realize that, like, dude, shut your mouth, like, and ask for a lawyer. I don't think he, I don't think he really understood that whole concept. Um, Unlike somebody like me, who's like, from very early on in age, it was don't say a fucking word to the police. Wait till your lawyer gets there. That was always drilled into my head as a child because my dad worked for this. Well, my adopted dad worked for the CIA for a long time. He was a big computer hacker for them. Like he's about to be 86, so like back in the day. And he's actually the one that told me, he's like, don't you ever talk to the police without a lawyer present. Like ever, don't ever open your mouth. Um, and I think the fact that they gave him seven, they gave him. I'm sorry, they gave him. I don't know. I think he said they gave him 30 or 25 years or something like that, and they suspended all of it but 17. But he was on probation when he caught this other charge, so they gave him all of his violation backup time, I guess, which is what made it the 17 years. Because he's been in Lawrenceville for 10 years. 10. He's been on that compound for 10 years. Yeah, and there just happened to be a gun involved. But it wasn't even like, the crazy part is that it wasn't even a real gun. It was an airsoft pistol. That wasn't even like a legit, real like pistol. I mean, I don't know. All of all of my charges have been drug related. I've never had an armed robbery charge or like been in that situation. I mean, like I've robbed drug dealers before, like a long time ago, but like I've never been in a situation like that where I would have to have done something like that because I couldn't sell drugs. Like I tried and I was very very bad at it. Like I'm not a good drug dealer at all, at all. Like it's just not the job for me. Hmm. Well, and it's the Commonwealth. Like Virginia will nail you for, like I said, I had never been in like serious trouble until I relapsed in 2016. Like I had caught a charge that put me in my first rehab center, and because it was a 2 year long program, it kind of just went away because I was gone for 2 years and I completed it. But when I relapsed in 2016 and caught all those felonies, they. I mean, like I said, they were talking away, putting me away for like 15 fucking years just for like a half a point of heroin or fentanyl. The SWAT team showed up at my house twice. Well, once they showed up to my parents' house, and then the other time they showed up to Mike's house right after I got off probation with a 10-month-old warrant. After I got off probation, they came and got me. They were trying. Yeah, it's over a half a point. They acted like I was like kingpinning or like pounds of fentanyl in my house or some shit like that. It was and like I got screwed. I mean, here's somebody who's never had a drug charge like in their life, and they're gonna put me away for 15 years for half a point of heroin. Like, get out of here with that. That's like not cool at all. Mm-hmm. What? Oh shit! I know if you're on. I know if you're on papers and you get in. Let's just say they have backup time. Um. Well, just because a lot of my friends have been to jail, and I seem to be the only person that I know that doesn't have any felonies that caught 4 felonies in less than a month in 4 different counties, which is I'm somewhat proud of it a little bit, but I'm really not. But at the same time, I'm like, at least like when I went I did it big. I didn't do it for something like that's so wrong of me to say. I did something very petty. It's been a struggle because like I said, you watched my whole entire story video that was like 46 minutes long about being adopted and stuff like that. So it was like between me and my brother who's not here, he passed away from alcoholism and stuff like that. But we were the only two that have been to jail. I'm the only person that's ever like really had a problem with like drugs per se because nobody knew I was getting high until I was 19. Like nobody had any idea that I was doing it. Like I could hide it very well until it got out of control. And if he had a was your lawyer paid? Did you pay? It wasn't a public defender. He had a public defender, and my DUI would have gotten dropped if I didn't have a public defender. But I had already had so many court fees and lawyer fees out for like the serious felonies that I was facing that like my dad was like, we can't afford a fucking new lawyer for your DUI, so you're just gonna have to bite the bullet and take the damn public defender, and what happens happens. And that's why I got my DUI. Any normal lawyer that I would have paid would have got me off of that DUI. I would have never gotten it if I had paid for a lawyer. Well, yeah, and it's crazy because like I smoke weed. I'm not even gonna lie, I do. Um, but I also take medication for like mental health and like bipolar stuff. And then like I'm like in this like right now I'm like in this herb category, like herb, where I'm trying to figure out like there's better alternatives than using Seroquel for bipolar, because if you notice my face twitches like all the time and it's from a side effect of being on Seroquel for as long as I have been. And I just think it's kind of ridiculous that like I'm sober, but I have to take a pill to be happy every day of my life, which doesn't make sense to me like at all. I feel like it's ass backwards. Like, why do I have to take a pill to be happy if I'm sober and I'm trying to not take a pill for the rest of my damn life? So I'm like in this whole little herb kick where I'm trying to figure out like what herbs. Reiki helps a lot though, so I've really gotten into Reiki. Hell yeah! Now with the way the weed is nowadays, hell, mm, I can't even. I can't even go. I can't even go to my job like and not smoke because like it's just deal with people all day. Like I don't, and that's what I'm saying. Like with my childhood friend who's in the federal penitentiary for weed charges, like he got a like life sentence for weed, pretty much is what it came down to, and it's because he was Spanish. and he didn't have money. That's what it. That's fully what it was. That's the only reason he got as long as he did. It was because of that whole entire thing. And I mean, like, I mean, for like just being the middleman. Um, yeah, so that's crazy. That's so funny. I love your content, dude. Man, you're really you. What's his name was telling everybody that you reminded him of Negan from Walking Dead, and I was like, he so does. It's cool. It's a different it's a different atmosphere on YouTube. I don't feel like there's. Hmm. Yeah, I started smoking weed when I was like, yeah, around 13. I think I smoked my first bowl with my brother at like 12. Um, I was never really a big drinker. I got drunk at 14 off a off a Steel Reserve to 1140, and it sealed my deal with drinking. Like I've never been like I could put drinking down. I could drink a beer and not two shits less if I drank it the next day. Like my brother and my ex are like, they were severe alcoholics. Like that's all they did. But I mean, I guess you could put drugs in the same category because just because I wasn't addicted to alcohol doesn't mean like you put a drug in front of my face, I'm gonna do it. You know, pretty much so. I don't consider weed a drug though. I mean, whatever the universe put it on this earth for a reason. I've never heard of anybody dying from weed overdose. Like like you don't. It's just not. It's an herb. But so is the poppy plant, but still, I just think that it's it's becoming very basalts research chemicals. Actually, basalts actually almost killed me. I was in the hospital for a month because of it. But like they got like that stuff out now. Like it's not even real drugs anymore. It's all like lab made bullshit that you don't know what the hell you're doing like at all. It's not like ooh, at least you um at least you know what you're getting with weed for the most part. Well, I always use the analogy if me and a black person or a Spanish person or of any other race, if we caught the same charge, my bail would be extreme, like increasingly, like way less than what his bail would be because a judge would set his bail high as shit, knowing that he could have bond himself out, as opposed to. And I hate to say this because I'm not racist at all. Like, I mean, I work with all black people at my job for the most part. Like, I'm not racist at all. I went to like an all black high school. I'm not like at all racist, but I just find it. That's another thing that like the bond system. Like, I think bonds should be outlawed. I don't think you should be sitting in jail on a bond when you've been accused of a crime. You haven't even been found innocent or guilty. Like I've known people, I'm sure you've known people. I've known people that have sat in jail for over a year because they couldn't make bond and then came to find out that they were innocent. So you made this innocent person sit in jail for a year because he couldn't make bond. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. I mean, I think that like a lot of times people think, well, I didn't pay attention to the kids that came to the high school that talked about drugs when I was in high school. I didn't pay attention to that. So I was like, man, I was the president of Dare, high as shit off weed in a Dare program for God's sake. a lot of people will stipulate this, and a lot of people give me shit for it all the time. They're like, "Oh my god, you're like a follower. You fell into drugs. Like you followed somebody into it." And it no, I was born addicted to it. I mean, I was born like addicted to it. My mom was doing heroin when she had me, my birth mom. So like I was born addicted to it. So technically speaking, choosing to do it, yes, to an extent, but I that's another thing I get hated on TikTok for. It's the whole addiction. Oh, it's a choice. No, like you choose to get up and put a needle in your arm. I mean, like yeah, maybe in the beginning, but like if you have an addicted personality, like one time it took one time the needle one time and it was a wrap. Like it wasn't like a oh I drank alcohol and was like I don't want to touch this. This is not my thing. It was like I did that the first time I ever did it and I fell in love with it so bad that like that it became my life for such a long time because that's all I wanted to do was get high and not feel. And I guess because I didn't know how to channel my empathic abilities to where like I could ground myself and not let like people's emotions like really drain me and take over all of my energy. Um, which is like I said, like Reiki has helped like tremendously. Like it's I didn't know anything about chakras. I still very know very little about them, but like I didn't really know about those. But apparently they're a real thing. Mm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not a very nice person on alcohol either. Well, really, just whiskey. Really, honestly, that's really the only thing. I haven't drinking whiskey in it's been a long time. I don't know. I guess I just always said like when I was with my ex, Mike, who took his life or whatever. I finally I saw like well, my brother was an alcoholic, and I knew he was an alcoholic. He just didn't want to admit it. But living in a situation with somebody that's in an active addiction or active alcoholism like this guy was and somebody like me who was like very much sober but like on the verge of relapsing very quickly if I kept going down the road that he was going down. Yeah, because basically it was like, is this what active addiction looks like when I'm in active recovery with an active person that's actively using and how they act and how like to be on the other side of that instead of being that person that's in active addiction to like see it from like a different point of view from like I guess what my parents saw being an active addiction was is very very eye opening I guess you could say. Um, but then again, I didn't even know alcohol was as serious as it was until I went to rehab for the first time. Like I didn't know, I didn't. I'm bitching about a heroin over like withdrawing, and like I couldn't even imagine. And I've seen it. I've seen like even my ex. I mean, I tried very hard to get him to stop, and I remember him going through his like DTS and all sorts of crazy stuff. Like that shit. It's just no joke. And the sad thing is, it's so legal. You can just buy it. Like heroin, you gotta get, you gotta like go and find it. You can't go into a store and buy it. Like, you can't be like, hey man, let me get a gram of heroin. Like you can't. It's just that's not how it works. Hmm. No, and I respect that 100%. That's why I mean that's why I wholeheartedly 100% would not disagree with you on that. It, I unfortunately have had not so very nice. I'm gonna try to do a video on this too. I don't know how well it's gonna work out, but when I was in jail in Fairfax County, nonetheless, um, I don't know how different it's. I don't see it being very male. prison being so much more different than female prison. Like, I mean, yes, to an extent, like more violent maybe, but like as far as politics go and like that kind of thing, like it's almost pretty much the same thing. But in different relations is it to like where guards or how they are with like a man's prison or jail compared to how they would act with women is a very different approach because I've like legit witnessed guards rape women in jail, like flat out, more than one time. Um, which is they actually I did a was it recently? Recently I came across something about why women in juvenile like juvenile females like the incarceration rate with women has become huge because of sex trafficking when it comes down to it. I guess Orange is the New Black could point that out very quickly as to that's a lot of what happens in women penitentiaries or women jail. Period. It's sex trafficking or guards getting bitches pregnant and like all that kind of shit. Like it's just that's why I'm very like I don't think males should be in a female prison with females. Just like females shouldn't be in a male prison. Period. I don't think they should be putting females in male units like they did with me in that jail in Prince William County. I mean, like that's totally unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. Like in so many different horrific ways to do that. Like that's just like I don't. It's just that's just crazy to me that like that would be even allowed. Hmm. Exactly. Well, I'll put my ex of 6 years, who was a narcissist, in prison for 10 years for trying to kill me. Well, I didn't even really put him in jail. The state put him in jail, but um, yeah, he got 10 years. I feel like he should have got way more than that, but he didn't. And he's getting out on good behavior too. On top of it, very soon. So he doesn't know where the fuck I'm at either. So I'm gonna keep it that way unless somehow parole or whatever the fuck it is they decide to. Um, yeah, it's. I feel like if you took out the life sentences on weed, well, it brings me back to my point about my friend I grew up in high school with. Like I he and I you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to explain it. I don't need to like throw his shit out there. You know what I'm talking about. Like what his whole issue is and why he is the way he is now because that's his family. That's all he has. So and that's all he's been like he's the only thing he's known is prison his whole life for the most part over his co-defendants who were white and had money and they got off very easily. But because he was Spanish, he didn't get off. But then again, look at this. Joey, he's a prime example of what the system failed miserably at. He was the whole reason I run. Well, not the whole reason I started my YouTube channel, but like a very big reason why I started it. Because here's a kid who went to jail or prison at 20 years old, like a kid, got a 17-year sentence, was not a drug addict before he went into prison. Okay, so he didn't shoot heroin, he didn't do none of that shit. But being in Lawrenceville, he got introduced to the needle, he got introduced to drugs, and that fueled his whole entire life for a long time. So here now you have a kid that never did any drugs like that. Yeah, maybe he was a drug dealer, whatever you want to call it, but like he wasn't a user. because nobody can sell drugs like that and be a user. You can't do that. There's no way you would make any money. Um, and now you've turned him into a drug addict. Now you've turned into a full blown drug addict in prison, and you're gonna kick him out after 17 years and be like, all right, see you later. Nice knowing you. So where was the reform in that, or where is the reform in that at all? Because in fact, you just made him like 3,000 times worse than what he was when he went in. Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah, it does. It's just very sickening. It it's not. It was not made for rehabilitation. It was the government's way of what do you want to say, control? Oh, making money. I'm sorry, because that's all it's about is making money. Everything in this fucking world is all about money. If you have enough money, you can get away with murder. Period. If you got enough money to pay somebody off, yeah, you can get away with whatever the fuck you want to get away with in this world, as long as you have that dollar bill in your hand, which is nuts. If you Lawrenceville, a body per inmate, just $67 to house them. That's just to house them in a privately run prison. $67. That's all they're worth. Is $67. It, it amazes me, and I don't think like people. I think where I struggle on my channel more so is like, A, I don't constantly put videos out like I should, and B, I don't know how to edit shit on here, so it's like, eh. But C, I don't see it being a like I don't see too many females putting content out there about prison. Period. And especially for somebody that's never been in like incarcerated in a penitentiary like myself, because I've never been to the penitentiary ever. Knock on wood. Um, God willingly, it won't ever happen. Um, but I mean, if you took all the drug addicts, you took all the weed people out, and all the even some violent felons. Like, I mean, Joey's a violent felon, and he's labeled as a violent felon. That kid's not a violent person. There's not a. I mean, I don't. I could not see him like maliciously going up to somebody and like shooting him and walking away and being like, oh, whatever. Like, I just think he's just not that type of person, at all. But if you took all those people out, you would have enough room for people that rape, molest, and do all that awful, 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 awful shit that should be. I, I don't even have words. That's why, like, that's why I fuck with Harvey so hard too, because I feel like like, how the fuck you give that guy 29 years for what he did? That's crazy. And that's that. And you're right. It's like a drug dealer gets more time than that piece of shit would get, and it's not right, because the he gets to get out and be free to do it again. No, that's the fuck you gonna rehabilitate somebody like that? You're not gonna rehabilitate somebody like that at all. Because the person that does something like that is not capable of being rehabilitated at all. Because that's just not how it is. Yep, yep. That's why I get so. I mean, Joey's been in the hole for a month for something he didn't even do. He didn't rat nobody out. He didn't do none of that shit. He simply didn't want to get stabbed. But you gave him a charge for it, for refusing to go back. Like what the fuck? And like that's what I'm saying. Like you hear. I have a friend on TikTok whose husband. She's from Chicago, and her husband was the first guy to ever escape from Cook County Jail. And when he, yeah, I think he did a. She said he did like a 10-year prison sentence, and they put him in what is called a catacomb. I guess I don't know. I mean, I know what a catacomb is, but like I guess whatever penitentiary was in Chicago, the guards put him like in like the tombs and like left him there to like die. Like they didn't. Nobody knew where the fuck he was at. They just put him in this like random ass like weird fucking place where nobody would find him. And they say you can't get to nobody in the hole, but I don't believe that because guards are corrupt as fuck. Like, what's to stop them from doing? And I worry about that a lot because like I don't know what's going on. That's what pisses me off. Like I have no idea like what she's even experiencing right now. All I know is from letters. That's really it. I I don't know. I thought it was like a you know I don't. It's just it's just the empath in me. uh, it's 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 difficult. Pretty much, I've ruined the whole surprise because the whole video that I'm putting out, well, nobody else knows about it because you're the only one in here. But it's all about the shady inmates and coming from a from like from like a prison girlfriend wife standpoint, meaning like that guy that's in that video that I did that whole like reenactment in. I mean, like I said, I met him on TikTok. That's where I met him at, and he played not once, not twice, but three times and stole. Well, I didn't steal. It took a lot of money from me, like a lot, in like a seventh, 8 month period of time of knowing this fool. Like a lot of money, a lot, like a lot, to the point where the Department of Idaho Corrections literally has like $400 worth of my money that I can't get out from stamps and JPay alone in video visits. So that's the big surprise video. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's a very it's almost it's very I'm a pretty strong person. I'm a Libra, so like I but but most people can't do it. Well, most females can't do it. I'll put it to you that way. It's a very like when I dated Anthony. I mean, like the kid broke my heart. Like that I did not touch another prison relationship until like 2 years ago. From 2008. From 2008 till 2 years ago. 'Cause I think I met Jordan 2 years ago. I think if I remember correctly, it was whenever right when I got on TikTok, right after Mike passed away. It started as just like a like somebody to talk to because I didn't have anybody to talk to, so that's how that started. But um, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. I would not wish anybody would ever have to go through that. I almost like my sister's husband's was in the Army Rangers for a long time. Um, so as she dealt with him going through deployment and stuff like that, which I could assume could be in the same category, not quite the same, but like pretty much the same category. Except for one's in war and the other one's in a cage. Um, so it takes a very strong individual to do it, and like that's the problem with like people like this, the Jordan guy, Anthony. I mean, I mean, Anthony had everything. I mean, the amount of money I spent on that fool the entire 4 years he was locked up. Faithfully went to drive 7 hours every weekend to see him, and I mean every weekend, like not did never skipped a weekend visit at all. Every weekend, like clockwork, every weekend. And to have him do what he did to me when he got out, 2 weeks or like a month before he got out, just to find out that this was going down the whole time we were dating. So it's I don't know. That's why I say like I see all these girls on like TikTok, or I see all these people like females on TikTok that are like, oh my god, I met this dude on a pen pal website, and I'm like, like be careful, because I met Jordan on TikTok and he fucked me out of like $6,000, around 6,000, maybe a little bit more. So you know, you learn, I guess. But this Joey's different. He's not a I don't know. He's different. I met him through somebody that knows, mutual friend of his. Well, the friend is a mutual friend of mine, but she knew him um, before I knew him. So, but I'm also the type of person. I'm also the type of person that will. I've done it to where like that. Well, actually, like for instance, like my friend that's been locked up with the feds. Like he had a friend, whatever acquaintance, whatever you want to call it, that like got no mail from anybody. He had like nobody. Like he just didn't have anything like that. And you being locked up, I being me being locked up in jail, and knowing what it's like to not have a phone call or a letter, just to get like that letter is a big difference. It makes your time that much a little better to know that somebody actually gives a fuck about you and is gonna write you or whatever. So like I wrote his friend and this was purely like out of a friendship thing. Like this had nothing to do with being in a relationship at all. It was more of like he got a letter every like 6 months. Just like, hey, what's up? Because I knew that like it would probably make him feel a lot better because he knew that he was gonna get something from somebody. So that's maybe even a nice person, but or an empath. An empath. It's really good. I blame it on the empathic abilities. And it is true though. Like I've been doing more research on it. Like Lorton Prison is probably where my fascination came because like I said, I grew up 5 minutes from a maximum security prison, not like a level two, like a max security prison. So it was pretty cool. I don't know. It is hard. I'm not a mom. I don't have a child, so I can't put myself in that category yet. But I can understand a parent's. I mean, a lot of people like. I mean, there was a point in time Anthony told me to stop coming. Well, maybe now it's not. Like, maybe now I know why. But like, I mean, there was a point in time where Anthony was like, "Don't come and see me anymore. It hurts me every time you leave here. You cry. I cry every time I get off a video visit." But my approval went through. I hope so too. But you know what? You know what's crazy is like here's a kid. Well, I keep calling him a kid. Here's a kid who's done over half of his life in jails and prisons, and when he gets out, it's a very high possibility. Like he's in that category of being that reoffender that reoffends in 6 months to a year if he doesn't get the help. I mean, like his mental stability is like outrageous, dude. Like I mean, he is his mental state right now being in the hole, and like they're not doing anything about it. Like you can't do that. That's why mental health is. I think honestly more so than anything else, besides programs, like mental health is like a real big issue in prison. Like they need to reevaluate that. Like you can't. You can't put somebody off of medication and then when they ask to see a psychiatrist, you refuse it because you want to be a dick. Like I said, they flat out stopped giving me my medication. They just refused to give it to me. It's like they wanted to make their job like that much harder on themselves. Like, I mean, you can't do that to people. A person is still a person. Now, you want to do it to child molesters and all those people, fine. I'm all for it. Go ahead, torture the fuck out of those people. But like people like me or people that or I like, I mean, I very much wish it would have been documented the way I got treated for my DUI in one of the richest counties in Virginia. Like the way I got treated in that jail was outrageous, off the like horrible that you could treat a human being like that, especially an addict who's like, I didn't need prison. I needed to go to rehab and I needed to like be put in a program, not sit in a jail cell for 7 days out of the week and not be able to shower while detoxing and not having my mental health medication on top of it. It's fucking wild. That's really what started my peak on how people or how prisons are run and how I'm not saying all correction officers are bad because there's some that are good that actually do like they do care about their job and they do care about making a difference. But then you got those the same thing in the police forces. I don't the cop that arrested me for my DUI, I was a fucking asshole to him. Like I was the biggest bitch you could possibly be because A, it was high, and B, I was like, man, you fucked my whole entire world up. But in the grand scheme of things, he's the only cop I've ever apologized to after having 2 years of sobriety. I literally went to the station and said, I don't know if you remember me, but you saved my life. And he did save my life. Whether I'm an asshole to him or not doesn't make him a bad person because he took me off the road. And I should never have been on the road. So he saved my life and somebody else's life that night. Probably multiple people's lives, for real. Um, so there's always, I mean, they're not all bad, but the vast majority of them are. See, and I mean, and you went to prison like in the peak of like mass incarceration. The thing that's about with like the bill on tough crime and like let's put everybody away in jail and make it in reality, it was like, how can we make money off of this? Let's lock all the people up that have drug problems and make money off of it. Or let's lock all the people with the and like my dad, he's never told me anything about the CIA, like because he can't, but dad, like it's no secret that the CIA and shit has been involved with the drug trade and the gun trade for eternity, and you're never gonna get rid of it. That's what makes it so crazy to me. Is like you actually think that you're gonna get rid of it. You say you're gonna get rid of it, but you won't get rid of it because there's too much money to be made in it. That's what it boils down to. You're not gonna get rid of it because you're not gonna make any money if you don't. If you do get rid of it, that's that's what it. I mean, I don't know. That's my belief on the whole. Like that's my theory on it. Everything in this world is a money making thing. How we're in debt, I don't know because we print money every day in DC. So it's beyond me of why we're in debt too. On top of it, oh yeah, I imagine the horrors that I've heard from like Lawrenceville. I've heard them in Greensville. Like I said, I watched documentaries after documentaries of reliable sources that or people that have been locked up. Like and like I said, you and Harvey did like it like in the peak, like in the '90s and the '80s when like the crack epidemic hit, and it was all about the ghetto. It was like, oh shit, let's arrest all the black people in the ghetto. When the heroin epidemic came out, or the opiate epidemic, and it was your judges, politicians, and rich people, white kids getting high and dying off of this heroin. Then it became a whole big, well, let's lock all the people up that are doing this, because now it wasn't just the ghetto, it wasn't just the inner city kids or the inner city people. It was like judges and lawyers and these high politicians, children that were getting high off heroin or jet roll. You can't sit here and tell me that one politician is not crooked. That's why I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm neither, because I think they're both fucked. Because I don't think a damn give about the American people whatsoever. Like, at the end of the day, they do not give two fucks about us, and it's becoming a reality. Well, I can tell you from a being a homeless addict and talking to addicts on the street who can't get into rehab because they don't have insurance, and nobody will take them because they don't have insurance. So it makes them very afraid to go get treatment because they know that they're going to get turned away. Because, oh, you don't have insurance, we're not paying for it. Oh, sorry. Like, if you don't got no money and insurance, we're not paying for it. You're shit out of luck. Um, because that's also a huge money making scheme. Like, now, should I go? Should I run with this? Tell me if I should run with it and put it in part of my content, because I can come at it from a rehab standpoint and how shitty rehabs have been and how rehab is a money making scheme too. The piss industry, urine industry is a huge fucking money making business. Huge. Halfway houses, they're all drug dens. There's no recovery in halfway houses whatsoever. Usually the people that own halfway houses are drug dealers themselves. I've been to one halfway house and it was all using. Everybody in that house was using. Everybody, like, all, like, I mean, how are you supposed to stay sober in an environment like that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Money. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard of the guy I was telling you about that was on America's Got Talent. This old black man who did I think something like 40 years for a murder that he had no part in. There was, and when DNA got as advanced as it did, and it came back that he didn't do it, you just put somebody in prison for 40 years on a crime they didn't do. You gave a man a 40-year sentence who was innocent, but you gave it to him because he was black. That's fucking nuts. How are you supposed to make that right after that? And I think he said, I think if I remember, don't quote me on this. I think if he said, I remember correctly, if he said on America's Got Talent that they paid him, they settled out of court and paid him like nowhere near, no amount of money is going to make me happy putting me in prison for 40 years for something I didn't do. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being locked up knowing you didn't do it? I couldn't. I can't. I couldn't even. Oh God, I couldn't even. I couldn't even imagine it. I couldn't. It's awful. But I've also met people too that like are correctional officers that, well, women correctional officers. I think it's really big with them that they'll sit there and watch all this we already know what I'm talking about. I don't even need to repeat it. And then like give them a sex charge and be like, oh, well, we're gonna write you up for exposing yourself, but we sat here and watched you do it the whole time because we're not getting what we want at home, so why not? And then, well, we're gonna hit you with that after, you know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that what I well, the fact that um yeah, I got high and broke the law in that regards. But I never robbed any houses. I never murdered anybody. I might have robbed drug dealers, so I guess I could say that. So like, I mean, going to jail 9 times out of 10 when I've been pulled over, it was because I was doing something illegal, like carrying drugs in my car or being around with shady people that just profile. And the shitty part about me too is now like the shitty part is I've never been to prison, but like I get harassed every time I get pulled over by the police. Like it does not matter if I have 6 years sober or 25 years sober, I will be harassed by them for the rest of my life. Every time they run my name, the whole fucking police force will show up because of my charges, not my convictions, my charges. It's outrageous. It's happened in South Carolina twice. The first time it happened, um, I don't know how law enforcement is out for where you're at, but like I know sheriffs as to be the ones that serve warrants and run jails. I don't never been pulled over by a sheriff for speeding, never been pulled over by a sheriff, period. But in South Carolina, that's all we have. There's no police force, it's all sheriffs. At least in my county. We don't have a police force, it's all sheriffs. They're Berkeley County sheriffs. There's no police. Now where I work in like North Charleston, they have their own police force. But as far as like almost every other county in South Carolina that I know of don't have a police force. It's all sheriffs, which was very weird to me when I moved out here because I was like, what the fuck is this about? And they they pulled me over for texting while driving, which is a traffic offense, not a criminal offense. Yeah, yeah, and it sucks that that's how you're labeled. The dude I was with for 6 years that I put away in prison, his dad is really Actually, me and his dad are still friends because I was friends with his dad before I met his son anyway. But he's a DJ, like an EDM DJ. He's like 60 now. He's an older guy. He looks like Rob Zombie. If him and Rob Zombie stood next to each other, I swear to God, you could tell that they were brothers, like twins, like 100%. Um, oh, he he's very uh, big in, but not maybe not so much anymore, but like a part of it. Like get a part of it. Um, and that sucks. That's the way you're labeled like that. I mean, I could tell you a crazy story. I mean, I'm labeled a gang affiliated person too because of a stupid fucking tattoo I got when I was 17 years old. Just because I have a tattoo, I was really fucking high and thought it was a good idea at the time. Granted, thank God it's in a place nobody can see it. Until I have enough money to cover it the fuck up. But still, it's pretty fucking ridiculous. Because I'm the type of person anyway. But I also have another tattoo that's somewhat, well, it is gang affiliated, but it's not like noticeable from a completely different situation that's totally, it wasn't my fault, or I didn't intend to be a part of this. I was kind of forced to do it when I was like 16 by like force. Well, yeah, if that's what you want to call it, without saying what it really is, if you get my drift. Um, as a marking of somebody's property that was in a gang from your neck of the woods. Well, the inner city of Chicago, Illinois, I guess. That's what you would call it. So, but yeah, that's it's. I feel like when you grow up in a different time era, like, or go to prison, or just in that general area, like how do I put this? Like my dad, for instance, he grew up in a era that blacks and whites were not. Nope. He's also from Detroit, Michigan. That's where he's from. Um, it's awful. Yeah, but I don't even have a felony, and I it's hard for me to get a job with a fucking DUI misdemeanor. Really, like I've been turned away for my misdemeanor because it's a DUI that happened 6 years ago, and that's my other issue with that. You can't label somebody a felon and kick them out of prison and say good luck. We didn't give you any skills or a job or any sort of means to get you a job when you got out, which is why the reoffending rate is so fucking high. They make it nearly impossible for you to complete probation. They make it nearly impossible for you to complete parole. I still don't understand why Virginia did away with parole. I still don't understand. I don't get it. And people have tried to explain it to me, and I still don't understand it like at all. And they did away with parole in like '95. Yeah. It. I. I can. Yeah. Well, and that's because you're a compassionate person, and because things happened that were out of your control when you were a child, made you some. I mean, like I deal with it with my adoption. I was a very fucking angry child. Like I was very angry. I punched concrete walls. I was a fucking awful child to deal with. I was mad all the time. I felt like my whole life had been a lie until I found out I was adopted by myself. Like my parents to this day, I know would never have told me I was adopted unless I found my birth certificate. They would have never told me. Never. And 13-year-old kid finding a birth certificate to finally know that like damn my entire life has been a lie. Like a lie. It's awful feeling to feel that as a kid that already feels different from the black sheep of the family because I was different than my brother and my sister, like hugely different. Um, so I constantly competed for my parents' attention because I feel like I had to compete in order for them to pay attention to me because I was not their biological child. And it was like hush hush when Lauren went to rehab. It was like, oh, don't tell nobody in the family that Lauren went to. Nope, nope, we're gonna keep that a secret. We're ashamed that we have a child that's addicted to heroin and the needle at 15 years old. And then I found out about this. The crazy part. The crazy part about the whole situation is I found out about the fucking money that they bought me for from TikTok 2 years ago. Didn't even know that was like how that happened. And I found out about it on TikTok, which was what drew my interest into asking my parents, like, how much did you pay for me? Because my birth mom legally sold me for $10,000. This was in '87. $10,000 is what my parents paid for me. My birth parent, or my adopted parents. I shudder to think what the fuck it is now, being 2022. And I found that out on TikTok. Had no fucking idea that that was even a thing. I knew it was a thing overseas, but no. And my mom had no choice but to tell me it. She said, "Yeah, we bought you for $10,000." The Gangster Disciples, Cabrini Green. I know that place all too well. That's the tattoo I have. Well, that's not the one that's like made me. It's the other one. The property one. That's how I know about Cabrini Green because I've actually been there before they demolished it. It took it away, or bulldozer did, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Hmm. But you have the Chicago mob, just like you have the New York mob. The Gangster Disciples, unreal. It's crazy because not many people know about Cabrini Green or any of those areas, which is where that a whole entire part of my life that I don't talk about happened. So I get where you're coming from with being a kid. This is me being. I'll be 35 this year, and I just found out that I'm worth $10,000. That's what I was worth to my birth mom, which we all know what the fuck she did with that money. Went straight into her fucking arm. And I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, which was like the murder capital of the world for fucking a long time. Actually, the number one using place I had used at was in Baltimore. So, mm-mm. Yeah, because times were different back then. I mean, American History X is one of my favorite movies in the entire world. Actually, it's probably in my top three favorite movies. I am that I'm yeah, my top three favorite movies because my ex that I put away in prison, he's like I said, his dad total their whole family is that for the most part. Like I mean, he's got him all over his chest. His dad's got him all like, I mean, like real. Well, I don't, and not so much. I don't think that's really so much like. I mean, his dad. Well, his dad's still definitely very much a part of it, but he's getting older now that like it's not really a thing. Well, it's a thing, but like yeah, I guess whatever old timer's sake for the fact that he's old, old as shit now. My best friend is Colombian. She's adopted from Colombia. I mean, she's 4'11", and she's her dad is. I'm pretty sure is my Spanish friend from high school. Very much. It's really sad to say that because like at the end of the day, it it's turned him into like that's all he knows. And he actually told me a couple months ago when I talked to him, he said I'm better off in prison more, and he said I don't even want to get out. I mean, he wants to get out, but he doesn't want to get out because he will not be able to function in this world. Like he's flat out. And when somebody says that, that's how you know that there's no reform or anything. Because when somebody says I'm just better off here, this is my life, and I've accepted it. Like it hurts my heart a lot that that's what it's come to. Like he's completely okay with not getting out. Yep. Well, that's what it was supposed to be. It has reform and like prison reform, like that was the whole concept, or so everybody thought that was the whole concept was that you could, if you got sentenced to whatever it was, when you did your time, you did your time. When you got out, that was it. Why are you going to keep penalizing me? I did my time, well over my time. I mean, not me. I'm saying just in general. Like, I mean, you take somebody's like, I did a 20-year prison sentence for a drug charge. I think I've paid my dues, and I think I've paid for my crime more than I should have paid for it for selling a little bit of marijuana. I mean, the Spanish, the Spanish guy, he got caught. They got caught with 3 pounds of weed through the mail. 3 pounds. In the grand scheme of things, that's really not that. That's really not a lot of weed. Back in the the 90s, early 2000s when weed was like brick dirt weed, and look, I mean, it's like not, it's like it's legal now. So why the fuck you still got these people locked up doing life sentences for weed charges? Why? Well, I don't. I think Joey served more than enough time for his crime. He knows what he did was wrong, and he's not about like I said. Most everybody I've met in jail was not a bad person. We all made stupid decisions. It just so happened that Joey, you made a really stupid decision, and he got sentenced by a black judge who wasn't even from the county. It was like a substitute judge. Yep. You look it all up on the internet. It's all public record. I've looked at every single police report that you could find on his bullshit that he got charged with. And he got made an example of. It's what it came down to. We're going to make an example of you. We're going to sentence you to way outside your guidelines because, well, I can do that because I have authority. And that's really the sad part of it. Lucky for me, like my judges, and I don't know how hard of it is because like all of my charges that I caught when I got sober in 2016 after I had that relapse or whatever, after my dude went to prison, because they happened so close together, like within like a 3-week period, they all congregated judge wise, I guess, in all these counties and said, all right, well, we'll give her a chance because when it's all said and done, I can tell you that my lawyer fees for all of this shit in court fees, when it was all said and done, was well over $100,000. Well over that. Just in lawyer fees in court fees alone. Did over $100,000 pay for me to not go to prison? Probably. But I mean, I was fortunate enough to be able to have that happen, like be able to do, like not be able to do it, but like have the means to be able to do that. Because if I had a public defender for all of my felony charges, boy, I'd be sitting in prison right now for like at least 15 fucking years alone on one of them. We all bleed the same fucking goddamn color. We we literally all bleed the same color. And both black and whites aren't even colors. If you really want to get technical with it. Well, I told you that my Tony, the guy I put away in prison, his dad, Tony's uncle, I was with him the day we picked his uncle up from prison. His uncle did 40 years for an aggravated, what was it? Oh my God, well, put it this way. He got into a bar fight and caved somebody's face in with a pool ball. Okay. So we can kind of see where this is going. They gave him a 40-year sentence in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So he went in before cell phones were out. He went in, did 40 fucking years. didn't have one outlet, never got taught any sort of skill, never got his GED because they did offer it, got out of prison. It took us 30 minutes to get him in the car. Like for it took him 30 minutes to actually like get in a car to leave. And within a 2 week period, he went out and got an attempted murder charge to go back to prison because he said, I can't live in this world. I don't know what I can do. I don't have any sort of skill whatsoever. I'm better off going back into the penitentiary. And he is serving a life sentence now. There you go. Prime example. What the fuck did you do with this kid for 40 years? You just kept him in a cell? Like, it's crazy. It's just very disheartening that that's how he felt. I mean, like, I have a friend that's been to does a bunch of jail bids. Like his thing is he goes to jail more than I know any other person like that I know of. He's in jail like all the time. But he does better in a structured environment. And whether it's structured or not, you have a routine that you do every day. Things are planned out for you in there. You don't pay bills. You don't do any of that. Well, I paid $2 a day to. That's the other crazy part. You get paid $2 a day to stay in jail as rent after you've been convicted. Like my rent was $2 a day by the state. Said, hey, you got to pay $2 every day to live in a jail cell. What? That's what? I remember when they said that to me, and I was like, "Why the fuck am I getting $2 taken out every fucking day? Oh, that's your rent. The fuck you mean it's my rent? So I have to pay to stay in. Wait. That doesn't make any sense. Like you got to pay to stay here. I mean, like Prince William County charges you $2 a day to be incarcerated in jail. Make that make sense to me because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's that's why I feel so passionate about it because I have a lot of people ask me, "What are you gonna do when your dude gets out?" I'm gonna be doing the same thing that I'm doing now, even if he does when he gets out. I'm not gonna like stop doing what I'm doing because he got out. But as I said, I've never been to prison, but for some reason, odd reason, I'm very passionate about this sort of issue. For somebody that's never even been to prison, but I'm coming at it from a person that's been with people that have been incarcerated. I mean, I could relate a little bit because I've been to jail, but that's about it. But as far as like anything else, like I mean, that's just it's just crazy that like I just don't I don't see I don't see how people can't be more like you don't see what's going on. Y'all are really this blind to the system. It's pretty much if you don't got money, you're fucked. Or if you don't know somebody that's in well with judges and prosecutors and all that kind of stuff. Like my lawyer in Virginia, fabulous lawyer. He's got me out of a lot of things. He's definitely a lawyer. If you get busted in Fairfax County, call David Hall. He got Mike out of his 2 gun charges in Virginia, 2 felony gun charges. He got both of his felonies knocked down to misdemeanors. One misdemeanor, shooting into an occupied dwelling. That's like unheard of, at least in Virginia. Why, especially Fairfax County being one of the richest counties in Virginia. And he got me off my 2 violations when I got caught with people that were getting high, and they took me to jail and charged me with the possession of Schedule 1-2 when it wasn't mine, while being on felony probation. I mean, he got those bitches down to disorderly conducts to where I didn't get violated. So, and he's not even that spending. It's like 1,500 for him to keep it in general district. If you go to trial, it's like $3,000, but still. But he was a prosecutor for 25 fucking years, so he has the whole in with that crowd, so he can pull more in Fairfax County. Like if he was to go to like West Virginia, he wouldn't have any pull whatsoever because that's not where he's from. But in Virginia, he's got some sort of pull because he was prosecutor for 25 years, which is crazy. That like he's all about reform and stuff like that. He doesn't. I just think that it was just so designed like to fail because like you said, once you're involved in the justice system, once you're in it and they've like sunk their teeth into you, they make it very difficult for you to get out. And how are you supposed to get a job if you're a felon for like a weed charge? Because it's absurd that weed is the same category as heroin and cocaine. Like a Schedule 1-2, like that, just the same category as heroin and cocaine. That baffles me to no extent. That weed is in the same category as that. Oh. Oh. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that a lot more than you know. Um, no, I generally feel like, and like it's like I said, it's crazy how Harvey found me. I couldn't even tell you where he, because like I don't talk about this on my TikTok where he found me on my main account. Like I'm all about like this is my life. This is like my spirituality is tarot cards. I'm very gifted at it, extremely gifted. Um, when it comes to that, but somehow he found me. I don't know how he found me, but he found me. And I don't know if he was in one of my lives and I had just so happened to be talking about privately run prison. And we got to talking about it and I was like, oh yeah. Because like right before I met him, I was in the process of doing my YouTube channel on this. I hadn't started it yet because I was pretty much anxiety ridden to do it, but I didn't know if it was going to take off or not. And I get kind of like irritated because it hasn't taken off the way I wanted it to take off. But that time comes with effort and stuff like that. But he pushed me to do this. He said, I think you have really good content. I think you should do it. So he was a deciding factor, like at the time, to be like, okay, shit, I'll do it. What do you want, Black Panther? What do you want, Black Panther? What do you want, you fat kitty cat? Mm. Yeah, I should check her out. I have a little group on TikTok, uh, prison wives and prison girlfriends that actually I have both. It's a very small group because there's a lot of posers. That's why for the longest time I didn't say anything about where Joey was locked up at because I didn't want thirsty bitches coming after him like a lot of these people do on social media. Like I've noticed that a lot lately. Well, more so on TikTok because I'm not really familiar with YouTube like that. But like it's all the big. Let's see who can steal people's. Yeah, I just like a whole. I don't know. Social media is. Sometimes I wish like they like I'm glad that like there's outlets for this kind of stuff like because it needs to be exposed. But at the same time, like I mean, and people can be very hurtful on social media. Like the cyberbullying is out of this fucking world. The amount of cyberbullying I encounter on my own TikToks. Like I mean, I've literally like cried in lives and been like, y'all don't know the amount of words that you say to somebody that could decide if they kill themselves tonight or not. So just so you know, watch what the fuck you say to people because you don't know what that person's going through. Um, and you could say something that would be the deciding factor if they do it or not. From somebody that's tried to commit suicide, I've lost count how many times I've tried to do it. Words can very, very, very much affect people, and people can be very fucking mean on the internet. I have found out, like very fucking mean, like outrageously off the wall shit. Which is like I've taken a break from TikTok. I know I haven't gone on TikTok like I used to. I used to be on TikTok like boom, 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 boom all the time, like all the time, every day, for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I've completely almost I don't do it like that at all, really anymore because it's like I'm always getting banned or I'm always getting bullied for being God forbid, I don't worship what religion is a very touchy subject, but not that I'm not against anybody's religion because like if it helps you out, it's great. Don't put it on me though because I have my own way. I grew up in a Catholic church. I that my beliefs are very much different from a lot of other people's, and that's okay because I'm allowed to believe in what I believe in. But the amount of things that come out of people's mouths about me being a devil worshiper is outrageous to me because I every time I go live on TikTok, I get called Satan. Oh, you worship Satan. Oh, you're doing the devil's work. And oh, you're a demon. And oh my God, you because this little card right here makes me fucking worshiping Satan. I don't by all means fuck. Like it's crazy that what people do on the internet. It's just nuts to me that like that's like blows my mind. When this is the only thing in my life that like has actually ever helped me spirituality wise because it's all the same fucking thing. I don't care. It's all the same thing. I always use the analogy I can wake up and pray to a lighter and say, thank you, lighter, for waking me up today. What's the difference? It's the same thing. You believe in something. Does it necessarily have to be what anybody else believes in? No, I don't think so. I think everybody's entitled to, and like I said, I'm a medium. I see spirits. I can talk to spirits. Spirits talk to me. I've seen the other side. I've seen spirit realms. I've seen what the other side looks like. Shush. Yep, exactly. David Hall will say the exact same thing you just said. Not to everybody, not to all of his clients, but he has definitely said they've got money. Let's just settle it. And my public defender in Fredericksburg, I had one in Prince William and I had one in Fredericksburg for one of my felonies. The public defender I had in Fredericksburg was by far the top notch attorney to have in Fredericksburg. Like, I mean, his name was Frost. I mean, and I got him for free, and he got me off like it was nothing. And I didn't pay a fucking dime for him. He just was assigned to me. Now, my Prince William DUI lawyer was a piece of shit because they made me plead out to my DUI because when I got caught, I wasn't even behind the wheel of the car. I was out of the car. The keys were out of the ignition, so you couldn't really prove that I had been driving. Like you would have to prove that I was driving. I mean, for all you know, somebody was driving my car, hit a street sign, and bailed. But because I was already out on 3 felony bonds at that point, I passed every single sobriety test, the walk the line. I mean, I was fucked up, but I passed that. I passed everything. And when they breathalyzed me, I knew I was going to blow a 0-0 because I wasn't drinking. But I was so fucked up and naive that the cop took advantage of that and said, well, if you're not going to, I think after I blew the 0-0, I was like, oh, we got to let me go. And he's like, oh, no, we're taking you to the hospital. You're going to get your blood drawn. I was like, no, I'm not. Like, that's bullshit. And he's like, well, you're going to get a felony if you don't. And when I went and got my blood drawn, this is how crooked this is. Now we all know I was going to test positive for heroin and cocaine. That was a given because it was going to be in my system regardless, even if I had been fucked up on it or not. They literally, my prosecutor lawyer, my lawyer told me, all right, we're going to get you out of this. You're not going to plead out to a DUI. We're going to plead out to whatever. I went into court that day knowing, or with the assumption that I was getting off and that they weren't going to be able to, we weren't taking it to trial or whatever. They, pleaded out or whatever. And he came back outside and he said, nope, you got to plead guilty. And I said, no, like, that's not what we decided. You told me that we weren't doing this. And he said, oh, no, because if you don't plead guilty to the DUI, they're going to bring you up on 2 new felony charges. But the fuck you mean 2 new? Oh, because they found heroin and cocaine in your system. So because they had heroin and cocaine in my system, that warrant them enough to charge me with 2 new felonies for Schedule 1-2 possession because it was in my blood. So that would have been like 6 felonies right there. That's why I pled out to the DUI. That's the only reason I pled out, because I didn't want 2 more felonies on top of the 3 I already had pending. Nuts. Oh no, dude, you're like me. I'm the same way. I'll talk somebody's fucking. If I could, I've almost thought about writing a book about my life, but I'm like, I don't think it would end. It would be just like a run-on sentence. There would be no punctuation, no periods, no nothing. Just one straight long run-on sentence. Oh man. Well, we should do more lives like this more often. What time is it? Yeah, I definitely have to get off live. I have to be at work at 7:45, so I have to get some sort of sleep. So I'm gonna have to get off of here. Nah, I didn't really like. It's amazing how time flies. Don't ever be sorry for that. You're. No, but I fuck with you hard because you're a no nonsense type person. Like, I mean, and I think your content helps or is going to help somebody. Like, my big thing with mine is like my counselor in rehab told me, if you can change one person, or change that one person's theory on like, and it just takes that one time for them to change their life around, and it was something you said that made them change their life around, then you've done your job. You're very much a healer. This is me picking your brain, being an empath, and being like, you got gifts, man. And like, there's not a lot of people in this world that can have a compassion and be able to talk to kids or talk to people that are going or have been or are going to prison or and that sort of, oh, it's so cool to go to prison, or it's cool to do this, and it's cool to like walk around with a gun, or it's cool to sell drugs, or it's cool to do blah 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 blah. I think a lot of people relate to you on that. I think that's like one of the biggest things that your content gets out is like there's like kids, whether you believe it or not, are going to relate to you more because, I mean, anybody will relate to somebody more that's been through an experience. And you being a kid from a broken home or what you went through as a child with trauma, like that can help people that are going through the same thing that you went through. So it'd be easier for somebody like me. Okay, I'll wrap it up after this. For me being adopted, it's very difficult for me to talk about my adoption with people that are not adopted or have not been through the foster care system because I don't feel like people understand it. But if I found my therapist that I talk to now, who is a fellow adoptee, I'm more willing to open up to her than somebody that's not adopted or has never been, like, it doesn't have that sort of issue that I have with being an adoptee. I would be more open to like telling her everything as opposed to somebody that just went to school for this shit because she can relate to me, as opposed to somebody that's never been adopted or has never been adopted. You can't relate to me on that to an extent to where I want to talk to you about it as much as I want to talk about it. So I guess that's where I go with my whole thing on that. Just mine is to bring justice to awareness to that our system is fucking broken and that it needs to be fixed. But I come at it as being a prison wife, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, as well as an addict and as an ex inmate my damn self. But yeah, so that's awesome. I talked to Harvey about this because sometimes Harvey's like, sometimes I don't feel like I make a difference, but little does he know he makes a huge difference. I mean, you've made a difference in my life, and I've only known you for like what, a month. Harvey's made a huge difference. Like, I mean, it's people like, I feel like more people from the inside need to speak up about it. I can only speak so much about it, but I have never like been inside a penitentiary, so I can't speak on it like you all can. Coming from being an inmate that's has done hard time. And I feel like people that have been doing or have done hard time can get out and talk about it and somehow see if they can make a difference. And like, that's what should happen, because like, you guys are really the ones that make a difference in it. I mean, I make a difference to an extent, but like, you guys are like the real people because you've lived it. You've lived that lifestyle. I don't want to say style. You've lived that life. I haven't. So, do you see what I'm saying? like you don't see what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, you definitely see what I'm saying. And look, you're not a statistic. You got out and changed your life. You weren't a statistic. You didn't go back. You changed, which is the biggest thing, because a lot of people can't say they changed, but you made it, which is phenomenal, because that proves to me that you can do it. Like, there's hope that people can get out and change their life into something better and not be a statistic and not be deemed to the state as a fucking piece of shit, because you're out of that bracket of being like 85% of people that have done 5 years or more in prison will will reoffend within 6 months to a year of being out. And you've been out for a long time. So that in itself brings hope to me that like Joey will be able to do it. you know. So that's where that comes in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Shit, I went from a junkie gutter slut to using people's needles to being an activist in rehabilitation. I'm not a saint. I've done things in my life that I'm not proud of. I've been a part of things and I've done a lot of dark things that I'm not proud of and that have influenced whatever it is today. But it's I don't necessarily like it made me who I am today. I don't regret being an addict. I don't regret doing I mean I guess I regret doing heroin because of all the people I hurt, but as far as that goes, I don't regret being an addict because it made me who I am today. If I could survive the awfulness I went through with a drug addiction and being literally told, don't hit her with Narcan. She's just a junkie piece of shit by cops. Oh, she's just a junkie. Fuck her. Her life doesn't matter. She's a menace to society. Like, it's just one dead junkie. It's like one less junkie we got to deal with. I carry Narcan with me everywhere. I have it in my house. I have it in my car. I have it in my purse. I have it everywhere. My parents have it. But I'm deemed a junkie for the rest of my life. Like, oh, this is a junkie. Well, can't have it both ways. Either I'm a junkie or I'm in recovery. One of the two. But you can't have it both. You don't get to sit here and call me a junkie and then you get to sit here and say recovery is, X, Y, and Z. That's not how it works. So it took me a long time to like come to terms with that people just don't get it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's where your healing comes into. That's where you relate to kids or people. Like Joey, he comes from a broken family. He comes from a broken, like his family's a piece of shit. He had a very shitty childhood. He had a very shitty life. That's why, like, when he gets out, I want him to do like what I'm doing. Or that almost might be even. I see people like Jay on YouTube. Here's people that have been got out of prison and made a huge following and a huge success on being social media talking about this kind of stuff. So if he can't find a job or whatever, I mean, who's to say that he can't get on YouTube and talk about his X, Y, and Z and become a huge YouTube sensation overnight? I hate social media, but at the same time, I love it because like it gives you, like I said, I have 10,000 followers on TikTok on one of my accounts, which is like, I don't care what anybody says, 10,000 people following you. That's a pretty big accomplishment. Like I'm nowhere near like 100, 200 million people followers like at all, but damn, 10,000 people, that's a lot of people. I don't even know half of them, but they follow me because of my content. So that says something about it. I just YouTube is not it's different from TikTok because TikTok you get all these effects. Like my live right now looks awful. I don't have a filter to like make my face and make my presence look like 3,000 times better than what it looks like right now. It's not like Snapchat or YouTube's just very YouTubey. I don't know. Have you heard of the app called Clapper? I don't know if you have. I don't think Harvey has either because I never heard of the app that he was talking about that he started on. But there's an app called Clapper, which is like you can say and pretty much get away with doing whatever the fuck you want to do on that website with no consequences, as opposed to TikTok. You get banned for saying the F word, or God forbid you talk about politics. That's a big no-no. They'll get you banned real quick. Or the vaccine or COVID or any of that shit. I know people that have gotten their accounts banned completely, permanently, and not been able to get on TikTok for a comment that they made on somebody's shit. You know, there's a card reader, Ashley Reiner, who was on TikTok. I got on it TikTok because of her, because she's a heroin addict, and her entire following was based off her being high on lives, like nodding the fuck out on heroin. That's she had something like, I don't know, 500,000 some followers. The only reason she had that many followers was because she was high, and people were betting on her life that she was gonna die on live. She's from Baltimore, the same shitty area I'm from. And she's on YouTube. They finally shut her down on TikTok. Finally, there have been people trying to get her off social media, period, because of what she's. I mean, nobody wants to sit here and watch you get high on live. But that's her whole following. YouTube pays her $2,000 a month. So YouTube overlooks the fact that she's getting high because she's making them money. So why would she stop if you're getting a $2,000 check every month from YouTube for your content? She's all over it. I mean, anybody that's not even a drug addict could sit here and say that chick is high on something all the time. And she gives people like me who read tarot cards a bad name because she doesn't know how to do it correctly. And she scams people out of money. Like, I charge people for my readings, yeah, but I don't scam people out of money because I want to scam people. Like, that's not how I operate. But that's what she does. She's a very good manipulator. But you should know this just as well as I do. When you're in active addiction, I can manipulate anybody to get me what the fuck I want. And God forbid you stand in my way if I want to get high, because regardless if you're in my way, like, you're going to get out of my way, because nothing you say to me is going to change my mind if I've already made up my mind to get high. Get the fuck out of my life, or get the fuck out of my way. You're not going to change that. If I've literally made my mind up, like, I'm going to get high, get out of my way. Like, nobody's going to stand in the way of me and my high, which is so sickening. Hey, stop it. Oh. I do. I need to get to sleep. Oh. Say bye. Say bye. Do I go sleepies? Do I go sleep? I've enjoyed talking to you like always. Oh, that's very true. I hope so. My hope is by someday, hopefully, it'll happen. Hopefully, I can only hope, but we can only try until something does happen. But it's pretty cool. I went live, and you were like the only person in my life. That's so cool. You have a good night though, okay, or morning, night, whatever it is, time where you're at, and I'll do it again sometime. Keep putting your content out there, dude, for real, because just like whether you know it or not, you definitely are helping people. My fellow empath. You have gifts though, for real, for real. You're definitely a healer, 100%. And I almost be willing to bet that you're pretty high up there in a past life, like high priestess wise, in past life. You should let me do a reading for you sometime if you're about it. I don't know if you're about that or not. If you want one, I'm totally game to do it. If you want one, if not, that's totally cool too. I get it. Mm-hmm. It's a whole nother issue with the foster care system. You want to ban abortion, right? Because it's gonna make a big difference. Let's ban abortion. No, the fuck it's not, because you're gonna have more kids in the system. Because once again, it's all money making. You don't give a fuck about it when it's out, but when it's inside, you give a huge fuck about it. But it's a huge issue. But let's just put more kids into a system that's already maxed the fuck out, because that's the way to do it. I don't know. It's fucked up. Hmm. But see, okay, so I'm going to end it with this. You and Harvey, from a lot of other people that I've seen in this chat or in this content, I feel like there's quite a few of them that do it for fame, and they fabricate a lot of things because that's how they get their following. But you and Harvey generally come from a, it's not about views, it's not about how many followers you have. It's not about that. That's a bonus. What it's about is helping and telling people your story. And that's the difference between people that are doing it for show and people that actually are doing it for good intentions, because there's a difference between those two. One's doing it for views because, hey, I got 100,000 followers. The other people are doing it from a genuine place of, I'm trying to help. It's not about content for me. It's about helping people. And that's where I end it. Oh, I've sent millions. I guarantee. My favorite car is a Lamborghini. When I win the lottery, I'm going to buy one before I buy a house. I could have bought like 6 with the amount of money I've spent on drugs. Like 6, give or take. Well, heroin was the love of my life and my best friend and my security blanket. In fact, that's what's in this little thing right here is my goodbye letter to heroin, which took me 9 months to write. 9 months to let it go. Do I want to do it some days? Yes. There are days that I would love to do it, but I can't. But it was generally the only thing in my life that never judged me. It did what I wanted it to do. But it also took a lot of innocence and a lot of things away from me. It made me a really bad person. Like a person that I didn't even know. Like you saw my mugshot. That's a person that doesn't care about life anymore. I didn't care about life anymore. I was just pissed at God for waking me up the next, like, why the fuck are you waking me up? Just let me go. So it is what it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. I love you. Keep doing your content. We should do more of this. I'll talk to you later, buddy. Yep. Yep. You're good. You're good. You're a good person. Definitely. And I'm proud to call you my friend. For real. But I will. I'll talk to you. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go to sleep now. Because I have 7 o'clock's coming. Gonna come really early. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I understand where you're coming from. 100%. 100%. And I'm sorry that you went through that as a child, and I'm sorry that that trauma and stuff like that is very real. I feel like that's why me and you relate so much together because I'm in a different aspect was pretty much lied to and told I was a piece of shit my whole life. Then I would never be a mount up to my brother or my sister in anything. So I feel like that's where our connection also comes into play because I know what it feels like to think that you're not good enough. You're not getting any wet food, Kit Kat. All right, buddy. Well, I will talk to you later. It was great. This was something I didn't expect. Like this is so cool. I'm super excited that you came. You're the only person that came in, so like that's cool. They got one follower that follows. One. And I'm so excited for you all to go back to Arizona. It's so cool. Hopefully, when y'all go back out there, I can come visit. I'd love to go back out to Arizona. I'd love it. Love it. Better New Mexico. Keep doing you, buddy. All right, I'm gonna go. Okay. Have a good night.